welcome to or back to my channel. Hey, I'm Ellen if you're new here. I really need you to tell me if these sit down videos are a little bit too far away from the screen or if they're okay, because I feel like they're maybe a little bit too far away, but I then need to sort my tripod out so it doesn't just hold my phone. Anyway, that's got nothing to do with this video. This video is all about first time home ownership. If you're new here, hi, I'm Ellen. I bought my first home literally a week ago now, so very early on, and I wanted to do this as like my top 10 things I'd learned through the first time buyer process and top things I'd recommend to somebody that's buying their home for the first time. And then I'll probably remake another one in 6 months time and in a year's time and see what like extra things I would add on to this, knowing more as I get further into the process. So I thought I would start off with some sort of random facts about first time home ownership here in the UK. These facts are only sort of UK relevant and apply to 2023. So yeah, I thought I'd sort of share some things so that if you kind of are starting to look into buying your first home, these are sort of the averages of the times that people do these things and the amount they've got saved and all that jazz. But obviously take it with a pinch of salt. These figures are relative to the whole of the UK, whereas things might differ very much. Might differ strongly based from the south and the north and that sort of thing, and London is its own little microcosm where things are just completely different. So the average age of a first time buyer last year was 34. So that's the average age across the UK that people buy their homes, and 50% of the people that bought their homes were in the 25 to 34 category. So the biggest category of people buying homes was 25 to 34, with the average age settling in at 34 years old. There were around 100,000 less buyers and less first time buyers 2023 in comparison to 2022. So obviously with the kind of climate and cost of living crisis going on, a lot less people are buying their first homes, and within that a lot more people skewed towards that 35 plus bracket who are buying their first homes. So whereas it's always really been very strongly people between 25 to 34, it's now 35 plus bracket where that's grown quite a lot, and the slightly younger bracket's gotten smaller, and so has the skew towards people earning higher wages. So it's the people that are in the top 4% of earners within the UK that are buying their first homes. So that's skewed a lot more this year to that higher percentage of earners. So with everything going on with the economy within the UK, people are buying older, and you have to be earning a lot more money to be able to buy your first home, seems to be the trend. Obviously with the interest rates being just outrageous as well. They're actually kind of averaging out across time, but obviously with, I think it was like 2020, 2021, they were at like an all-time low, so people got some really great deals. A lot of people are coming out of that and now ending up on 4.5% interest rate mortgages, which is really, really high in comparison to a few years ago, although it is average for sort of the UK overall in terms of times, I guess. So yeah, I think that's everything. Oh, and then I've got a few figures in terms of deposit. So the average deposit throughout the UK was 43,693, so 44k was the average deposit, with a loan amount, the average loan amount being 179,000, which feels absolutely tiny to me, but obviously that doesn't, that includes the whole of the UK, where prices are a lot cheaper. I bought in London, so our loan is obviously a lot higher than that. So let's get into my top 10 things that I would recommend to a first time buyer. These are in no particular order. I'm going to try my best to try and get them as it's like the stage you go through in the process, but do you know what, I'm just gonna reel them off as I've written them down. So my first big one is you are going to spend so much more money than you think you are. I think a lot of people focus on saving just that 10% for their deposit, whereas you need a lot more on top of that as well. So obviously you need to focus on saving your 10%. You then need to focus on saving between 1,500 to 3,000 for lawyer fees, searches. If you're buying a leasehold property, that's even more expensive. If you're using any sort of like ISA where you get a government bonus, that adds a fee onto your lawyer's fees as well. So it's all these little things that you're not expecting unless you've done your research. So just make sure you're saving for all of those sort of little things that will come along. Also, depending on the type of house you're buying and the level of survey you need to do, these prices vary quite a lot as well. And I think I read a statistic that only 14% of home buyers do a survey, which is wild to me because you're going to encounter so many unexpected things. So we did a full survey, and then we also had an asbestos survey on top of that as well. So that was like an unexpected cost because we didn't know we were going to have to do that survey on top of our others. So you've just got to factor in all these like little things that might come along and pop up. There's also things like even like buying all your moving boxes is an expense. Buying your furniture is a massive expense. You can obviously do this in many different ways. We wanted the flat to be sort of fully, or like almost fully furnished, like totally livable as soon as we got in. So we did buy a lot of furniture pre-moving in, and we had like our sofa already and stuff from renting. But if you're starting completely from scratch, you could need like up to about 10 grand to furnish your home, because there's going to be stuff like pots and pans, cleaning materials, a broom, a mop, a hoover, like all these things you're not thinking of. We also bought all of our white goods from our previous from the previous owner. There's all those things to consider as well if you're not doing that and you need to buy all of those things new. Lots of things to consider. There's also, you need to take into consideration that your first mortgage payment is always going to be slightly more than all your other mortgage payments. So I think ours is about £500 more. I don't exactly remember 100% why this is. I think it's something to do with interest, but do take that into consideration as well. So it's all these little things that add up that you're going to need to have saved, as well as your 10% plus whatever deposit. You can obviously do a 5% deposit if you are a first-time buyer with some lenders, but they don't have the best interest rates, and obviously do your research into that. I'm not a financial advisor. So yeah. Oh, and also we paid for people to move us, we paid for someone to come and take all the rubbish from the house. So there's all these little things that like make your life a little bit like less stressful, and when you're moving obviously life can be really stressful. So I would highly recommend just fork out the money to make your life less stressful if you have the means to do so. So save a little bit for that as well. So we used a mortgage broker for our mortgage, and because he came recommended, he was completely free of charge. He just took the commission obviously from getting us our mortgage, and that was really great because he gave us all the best deals. But I was also looking on better.com and looking at all the mortgage deals that were coming up as well. So I was keeping an eye on it just as much as I was like trusting him to do it. He was completely amazing. He beat all my ones that I sent to him. So got us the absolute best mortgage we could get. We did really, really well on our mortgage considering the financial climate. And it was all because we had a really great broker. And my big thing would be, don't take your first mortgage offer as gospel. So we put the offer in our flat 6 months ago, and within that 6 months obviously things change, and if you've got a really great broker, they will send you the best mortgage deals as they come along. So you might have your first mortgage, but we went through 3 mortgages before we got sort of the best one, and ended up with I think almost 1.5% less interest than our original mortgage, just because he was like keeping an eye on it for us. I was as well on better.com, but like I would see things on better.com and then he'd be like, you can't have that because you're buying a flat, or you only got 10% deposit and all that sort of stuff. So but he was keeping an eye just as much as we were on the fluctuation of the market and were we still getting the best mortgage for the time. So that was amazing as well. So we ended up getting a really, really good mortgage rate just because we were all keeping an eye on it. So we'd recommend working with a broker if I would just recommend it. I would completely recommend it, to be honest, a good broker, and shop around. You don't have to go with the first broker you speak to. Get recommendations of friends and family of the brokers they used, and just make sure you're just talking to lots of people and like who you get a good vibe off and stuff. So I guess that whole sort of building your team thing is really important. So my third one would be get a really good solicitor. All solicitors or conveyancers, I think that's the 2 words for them, they I think all need a bit of a kick up the arse. Like I haven't heard anybody who hasn't needed to chase their solicitor. Ours weren't the best. I probably wouldn't recommend them, but all their reviews are great. They came recommended from my sister, so they were like, it wasn't really our fault that they didn't work out for us. Maybe we just got them at a bad time, or we got like a bad assistant to us, solicitor or something like that. Something went wrong in the process and they just were really bad at communicating, didn't really keep us in the loop for anything, took ages to get us anything. Like our searches took like I think almost 4 months for us to get them, which is just insane. So yeah, they weren't great. I had to taste them a lot, but ask friends and family, do your research, read the reviews, like make sure you're finding the right solicitor, because that is, if anything, they are the biggest piece of the puzzle, and they need to be good, otherwise they can make your life really stressful. So make sure you're doing your research and getting somebody really great to do your conveyancing, because it's just a really, really important part of the puzzle, and it's really great to have like a team that's all sort of working together, whereas our solicitor and our estate agents were not working together. They were in a fight most of the time. And then saying that, my fourth tip is obviously the estate agent is not working for you. The estate agent is working for the vendor, so the person selling the house. The estate agent does not, no matter how nice they seem, they don't have your best interest at heart. So take everything they say with a bit of a pinch of salt, because they're not working for you. They're working to get the best for their vendor and also get their commission. So they'll try and like push the price up and like just fight back with stuff like that. They'll try and push everything when it's not ready and try and stress you out. Just don't. Try your best to not let that affect you, and just remember they're not working with your personal best interest at heart the majority of the time, because they're not working for you. You're not the one paying their bills. Well, you are to an extent at the end of the day, but they're not working for you. They're working for the vendor. Then in terms of things you need to spend money on, my fifth one would be definitely to get a survey done. So I mentioned earlier in the video that a survey, obviously, only, I think it was something stupid, like only a tiny percent of people actually do a survey for their home. And make sure you are getting a really good survey from somebody reputable who've done a research on or comes recommended, like everything in this process, because if they miss something, that could be a huge mistake and issue for you. We obviously don't know yet. We've only lived here a week. We don't know if our survey missed anything, but I read the reviews really well. I asked them lots of questions, so fingers crossed, but you never know. So fingers crossed, they did a great job and they told us everything we need to know. But if you're, just make sure you've got that, because if you're going in completely blind, that is terrifying to me, like not knowing anything about the place and what's wrong with it, and what's like we've got the wrong kind of bulbs in the living room, and that is something we never would have known had we not got a survey, because we don't know, we're not electricians, we don't know anything about that. So until they'd caused an issue, we probably wouldn't have known that. So it's these little things that, like, it's not like an obvious crack in the wall, like they look at like electricity, gas safe, all that sort of things that are just really, really important for like a home that you're purchasing, because the next person will do that and might find something that knocks loads of money off it, and you can always use it as a negotiation tactic as well. A woman I work with is currently in the process of buying her first home in the UK as well, and she got like a full survey done because she's buying a house, and she managed to get her price down of the house by quite a significant amount because of the issues it had and the work she's going to have to do to it. So had she not done that survey, she would have had to do that work anyway, and then still would have paid like a lot more for the house. So it's really, really, really worth doing. Number 6 is a bit of a contentious one. So am I on number 6? I have no idea what number I'm on. This one is a bit of a contentious one. So a lot of people say don't buy anything before you get to the house, and I would completely disagree. I don't understand why you would move in not having anything and then have to kind of front that cost all in one, wait for all your deliveries all in one, when you can just move with stuff and be a lot more sort of ready and make your house a lot more comfortable more quickly. I think there is something in not buying like big bits of furniture if you're not sure of the space and how you want it to work. But we came in we did like multiple viewings of this place, so we measured it up for all the furniture we wanted pre getting here. We bought it so it could be delivered on the week we were moving in, so that everything was just here and we were ready to like be set up as soon as we got here. And then like little bits like buying like your kitchen utensils, bits for the kitchen, those sorts of things that you don't like think about every day, but you're gonna need them as soon as you move in. And you want, the space feels so weird and not like yours the minute you move in, and being able to put your home comforts in it really quickly is just, for me, really important. So I think I would start to buy quite a few things before moving in, as we did, and we've basically got the whole flat set up in a week. But there's still a lot of space for us to do things, like we don't have like art or mirrors or the right lampshades, that sort of thing. Like there's space for us to put our personality on it, but everything's in working order. We've got a bed to sleep in, we've got a kitchen that's fully usable. We served like 7 people a meal on the 3rd day of living here. So I'm not saying everybody has to be exactly like that, but it's really worth just having like all your bits and bobs in a line, so that when you move in, you can at least get your bedroom and the kitchen done, so you have somewhere to sleep and have somewhere to make like your coffee and your breakfast in the morning, and it just feels a bit more like yours. When it comes to packing up where you lived previously, I would say plan it so that you know where all your stuff is. There was something like the majority of our stuff we knew where it was because we like labeled every single box. We've been packing bit by bit throughout the week. Every single box was labeled. It all went in the right room when we moved in, and as soon as we moved in, even if things weren't unpacked, we knew where like everything we might need was. We also had like a box which was like toilet roll, kitchen roll, bin bags, all those, like the coffee machine, all of those sorts of things that you're gonna want straight away, that was like really obvious. Or when I think it came in the car with me and my mum actually like came first to the house, so that we like knew where those were straight away when we moved in, because they're like the necessities, like they're the things we use every day, that we need every day, and that life's not going to be as comfortable without those things. So just make sure your packing process is as meticulous as possible so you can have a stress-free moving in experience. This one's a bit of another, like, I guess, a contentious topic. I would say, even if you're already living with your partner and you discuss your finances and the way you do your finances, or even bigger conversation if you're not already living with your partner. So if you're buying with a partner and you don't have like a haven't had like a set conversation on how you sort and manage your finances, buying a house together is the time to have that conversation. Realize how you both use money, how you're going to share your money, how you're going to split your money, how you're going to pool your money together, whatever way you're doing it. Make sure you've had a really big conversation about that sort of thing, because not everybody's, and I don't even know anybody whose finances are exactly the same. That is so rare. So there's always going to be times where somebody earns more money or somebody has more savings, and how you guys feel comfortable in making those splits, making those kind of decisions around finances is so important, because finances, I think they're like one of the top reasons that people break up or get divorced or whatever. So make that, like, have that conversation really kind of set out how you are managing that sort of thing, and like the kind of the sharing of finances, because there are going to be so many things that come along that are like a shock, and maybe one person has the savings and one doesn't, or one person is getting more paid more, and blah blah blah. There's loads of different situations, but make sure you're just really clear on how you're splitting and managing your finances, because it is just something that's really important when you're kind of pooling your life together in this way. And then my final thing would be, it is going to be stressful, of course, along the way it's going to be stressful, but just remember how privileged it is to be able to feel like, and be allowed and have the opportunity to feel this stress, because like I said, it's like the first time buyers, there were 100,000 less last year to the year before. The average age of a first-time buyer is rising every year. We're so lucky to be getting to buy a home, and although it's stressful, it's such, like, we should be so grateful that we're having this opportunity to do this and to buy a home. It's such a privilege to own a home, and in the UK especially, it's such a goal and pressure that's put upon us. And if you get to do it and you get to reach it, especially if you're buying like in London for like ridiculous prices, like, it's such an amazing achievement. And although it's stressful, the fact that you've been able to achieve that is such a privilege, and you should be so grateful for it. So yeah, without it's stressful, just look at it that way. So yeah, that's everything, guys. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any questions, just pop them down below. I'm happy to do either a follow-up Q&A or just answer your questions down below. I'm obviously not an expert on this or financial advisor. This is all the things I've just learned from us going through the process. And I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye, guys.